All right, Mr. Mike Draco across the line first tonight, representing Cincinnati, Ohio. Go Radar, go Fletcher in the house, Jeremy Sather. Heather Callan, howdy, folks. Hey, man, this is Chris with Cycle Source Magazine, and we are just 4 minutes out from launching this week's episode of Shop Talk, America's favorite two-wheel news and information channel. Going to be a fantastic show tonight. We have the one and only, a lot of people call him the Bishop, OG in the house, Mr. Donnie Smith, and we're going to be talking about the show, his history, a bunch of stuff from the days of Smith Brothers and Fetro. It's going to be a killer show. We got some good tech, some good feature bikes. Kick back, relax, grab a cold drink, get ready for 90 to 120 minutes of all the two-wheel bullshit we can fit. If you're watching out there, throw up a little shout out where you're watching from so we know. Bill Stevens in the house, Anne-Marie Weiss, the queen of Chop Cult, Miss Lisa Ballard in the house this evening. Good to see all you guys. Just 3.5 minutes. We're going live with Shop Talk. Don't go anywhere. All right, looks like we got Hawaii in the house. Right on. Chris Phil, Hamsters, Arizona. Nancy Weems. You did. You made it in the house, Nancy. You made it before Mike? No way. Snow-covered Michigan. Bill Stevens watching with us. Choppers, Mayhem, and Motorcycles. What's up? East Tennessee in the house. Bob Kerr. Sutter Creek. Robin Higginbottom in with us. Tony Tello, Memphis in the house. Memphis, Mass. Beaumont, Texas. I got brothers down there. Steve Sokol, Wisconsin. Graham, North Carolina. All over the damn place. Nipple Twister, no kidding. What's up, Matt? Good to see you here, buddy. Heather's trying to trade up, Mark. She's trying to trade up the warmer weather. You see that right on the screen?
That ain't happening.
Looks like Hamsters, Minnesota in the house. Cocaine's here with us. You know it's going to be a good night. Greg White with us from Tejas. So good. Minute and a half. We're going live with this one. David Crum, Butler, New Jersey. Pretty sure you know that. David's a good, steady listener, man, or viewer. We love to have you here, man. Chatham, Ontario, Canada, right on. Nancy, I do have coffee. Thank you very much. I had a steady dose of it going for the last 3 days as we worked with Steve Broyles in the Greasing Gears garage getting that Panhead stuff ready. All right, man, 1 minute. That gives you just enough time to like and share. Remember, this program only goes as far as what you guys help us get it out to. You know, 15 different channels we're broadcasting this on every Sunday at 9 p.m. on the East Coast. But your like and your share, sharing is caring, Heather always says, that helps. Make sure you do it. Just about 45 seconds left. We're going live with this episode. I suppose, hello from Cape Cod. Yep, it's coming together. Ashley Woodford in the house. Mark Hendricks here with us. Terry Gray, Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. Lance Baxter, Leesburg, Florida. A lot of the usual suspects, known associates, as it were. All right, 14 seconds left. That sounds like just enough time to get this one out of the station and up onto the tracks. Let's go live with this week's installment of Shop Talk. Here we go. Okay, scooter tramps and chopper jockeys all across the land. It's just after 9 p.m. on the East Coast. That means it's time for another episode of Shop Talk. Coming to you live from the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio, 50 floors beneath the street level. I'm Chris with Cycle Source Magazine. I'm going to be your host for the next 90 to 120 minutes of all the two-wheel bullshit we can fit into this program. I'm joined by my host, co-host, and co-hostess.
Hostessers.
Man, there's so many people.
I know, it's so good.
All across the country tonight.
Hopefully he's still watching. Matt Carroll, Nipple Twister. I think we need to have him on.
Yes.
Because, dude, like, when we did the wheels for Something Wicked,
He was the bomb.
Well, no, you and I did them, remember?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, like, rip my hair out. He does this for a living, and he is a true artist. Like,
he's helped us
amazing.
plenty of times with stuff, though. Like when we got into a jam, he's come on to Grease and Gears Garage on stage with us. Like,
he's awesome, but like, he's an artist. The way he does that, I'd be bald.
Rob Doer riding all day? That's bullshit. Mark, were you riding all day?
I was riding junk in my garage.
I don't know.
That's what I was riding all
Someday
day.
we're going to live someplace where we just have to visit winter. I would like to ride year round. I'm saying.
Got time for that crap.
I just can't get over the idea of not having winter, though.
Oh, I can.
You know?
Quite easily.
I mean, seriously, after, 52 years of living in Pennsylvania, I would be a scoundrel. My motorcycle would be horrible. There'd be things falling off of it if I didn't have winter to hang on.
I'll do like a sprinkler outside the window so you think it's raining every now and then, so you go get a shop day. I will rent a snow machine to do outside your window so you think it's snowing and stay in the shop.
So last week we had a killer show, Small Shop Symposium, where we had small shop owners. Bob K was on with us. We were talking about the differences in how the motorcycle industry looks today, the difference in the business models.
Les Nessman figured out who Bob K was.
Dude.
That was the best part of the show.
And listen, it was everything I could do all week long. Heather was like, what clip should I take from the show? I'm like, you have to do the clip where Rob brought up, hey, does anybody remember Nemco?
Yeah.
And dude, the look on Bob K's face was priceless.
It was just like, and I'm just like, he was Nemco.
But it was killer, very productive. There's talk of an association now coming out of it where, these guys are all going to band together for the purposes of information and a bunch of other good work.
Yeah,
so.
there's like two kinds of shows. There's ones that are fun, memories, and then there's the informative, and that one there was killer.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So lots going on. Meekum was rocking.
Oh, dude.
Did you watch any?
I caught a little bit of it. It was killing me not to watch more of it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be there.
I saw. I don't know if you caught any of the pictures of Mr. Banks out there, but
I did see a few.
He's definitely in the Mark Persichetti fan club all of a sudden.
Right.
He has it coming on.
Yeah. Oh.
We're going to have a talk.
Right. So, hey, listen, man, we're going to jump right into it because we got a lot of great stuff to get to throughout the show today. If this is your first time watching Shop Talk, thank you very much for being here. Like I said, we do this program every Sunday at 9 p.m. We go through a lot of great stuff in current events in motorcycles. We cover the events. We do tech. We do everything you would expect to see in a magazine because we publish a magazine. And this kind of goes along with that. In spite of Mark's admonitions.
You still do that?
Yeah, we still do the magazine. On this program, we do all of that, and we start it all off with a segment we like to call The News.
The Shop Talk World Report is brought to you by Law Tigers. Get the compensation you deserve and get back on the road with Law Tigers.
First up in the news tonight from KOTA, Laura Clock named Grand Marshal of 83rd Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Sturgis announced that Laura Clock, president and founder of South Dakota nonprofit Helping with Horsepower, will be the Grand Marshal for the 83rd Motorcycle Rally. Clock and her nonprofit recently helped Mitchell Tech that will build a custom motorcycle will be sold at Meekum Auction on Saturday 28th. Now, we followed this up to see how they did at Meekum. Looks like that bike brought in $25,000. So pretty good. They sold that at Meekum. Clock is going to be handling all the duties of the Grand Marshal for Sturgis and still doing great things with her Helping with Horsepower. We congratulate her for that. Jay Leno back in the news. Listen, my man is
Poor dude.
He's on a roll.
Oh,
We got to get him a helmet or a bubble suit
bubble
or
wrap.
something. Yeah.
Dude, and literally the word roll. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So this comes in from Auto Evolution. Less than 2 months ago, in mid-November, famous former TV host, avid car collector Jay Leno suffered severe burns after a car fire, and now he revealed he has just broken his bones after a recent motorcycle accident. Jay Leno is to make his return to the Strip in Vegas on March 31st and will be his first comedy show since the November incident, but it looks like he doesn't have much luck with vintage vehicles
Or clotheslines.
anymore. Shit, the poor son of a bitch, right?
Right? Dude.
That's the worst thing. Like an unmarked clothesline across an alley is what took him
Is that
out.
what took him out?
Yeah.
then?
that was it.
Oh, my
like
God.
somebody put a rope up across their parking lot. Who doesn't mark that? Like, you rotten human.
Yep. Yeah,
Like,
that's-
what if he got decapitated?
Yeah, that would have been horrible.
My
Yeah.
goodness
And you
gracious.
get to be that guy forever.
I would have had to go
Yeah,
out and
I decapitated Jay Leno.
somebody
oh, no.
would have had to go out there and take all of his stuff.
See, look at what you take things to an unhealthy place right away.
I'm just saying, too soon.
Next up in the news, and this comes in from
Vulture.
Nebraska, the Transportation and Telecommunications Committee heard testimony on January 24th on a bill that would alter Nebraska's motorcycle helmet mandate. Current state law requires an individual wear a helmet when riding a motorcycle or moped. Introduced by Blair Senator Ben Hansen, no longer would require an individual age 21 and older. So Nebraska may be well on its way to getting rid of their helmet law. Good luck to them. This one threw me for a loop. Coming in from AMA, American Motorcycle Association announces dates for the 23 PERMCO AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days. I was like,
PERMCO?
Like,
what?
what's Permco?
Have they moved Vintage Days? But it turns out this is just part of the, recent trend of renaming stadiums to companies that we don't even understand. But PERMCO AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days still going to be at the same motorsports park that you've come to know and love. And I'm forgetting the name. Mid-Ohio.
Wow.
I was going to
Mid-Ohio
say,
Vintage Days?
out by Daniel. Out by Daniel.
Not that way. It's up over there.
Wow.
We've only been there about, 400 times?
Listen, I worked hard all week. I raced into
What?
this studio.
Like the rest of us sat around and watched TV or
Right?
what?
I'm not sure. I'm not
You
sure.
came home to a
Well-
clean house and a hot cooked meal. I'm just saying, don't be weenie.
and
weenie.
and you didn't even shave half your head off, which I was pretty
know.
impressed with.
No, I like.
I still haven't found that hair you cut.
I have to say, I cut 2 inches off, and my hair is my favorite part of me, so I'll never do that.
All right, so AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days, PERMCO, Mid-Ohio, or otherwise, grandest celebration of vintage motorcycles and the people who love them will take place on July 21st through the 23rd, 23 at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. If you have not been to this event, the racing, the motorcycles, like you absolutely will miss it the time of your life if you are even remotely interested in vintage motorcycles.
Yeah. Super cool track.
So we're going to get right to our guest real quick. We're going to take a look at a neat tech tip that I picked up. And I know, Mark, you were going to dig this.
Wait a minute, Mark's
Who
new
taught
name
you?
is Persha whatever.
Whatever the hell it is.
Persha whatever.
At least
Seriously?
normally it's just spaghetti. So
Hi, listen, I love Big Ollie's name for you.
This is empty.
yeah, because he usually spent all my money.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah, on groceries.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, before we get to the guest tonight, we're going to take a real quick look at a tech tip I know Mark's going to dig on dealing with old gasket surfaces. We'll be right back, and we're going straight to our guest, Mr. Donnie Smith. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Shop Talk. What's up, Chris? Cycle Source Magazine, Grease and Gears TV, and we're back in the Grease and Gears Garage Mobile, coming to you live again from Stevenson Cycle, Wayne, Michigan, and we got a cool little tech tip tonight. You know, in the realm of fixing up the Panhead motor and the transmission, we came across gasket surface preparation. Now, a lot of people will go at this, real quick lap around with the 3M cookies on the die grinder wheel, and that's good enough if you're careful and easy with it, but years and years of abuse of your gasket surface area causes uneven gasket surface area, can cause leaks no matter how well you put the gasket on. Take your time to do that. So Steve hooked us up with a great tip on a lapping block. We're going to take a look at that right now.
Shop Talk Tech Tips are brought to you by S&S. Proven performance for the power sports industry.
Okay, so what we've got here is the top of the transmission that we're working on, that you've been looking at all the time. We had a little bit of unlevelness to the top of this. There's some spots that are a little unlevel. This is an old lapping block that I've had for a long time. Underneath this, it has cuts in the metal. I've had this baby for a long time. You can, of course, use lapping compound on it if you want to do something really fine. I've got this piece of 320 on it that I've taped to the bottom of it. I've wrapped it, okay? And it works really, really well when you want to remove a little bit more of the aluminum other than just lapping it down. So this works really well. We just put it on here. We hold it flat, really smooth and flat. Hold it in tight. Not a lot of weight. Keep it flat. What we end up with is a nice clean surface we're going to start working with here. Okay, we've got just a little bit more to go. Looks like we're a little low here and a little low here. I keep this old girl around. She does really well with heads. Just to refresh the surface just a little bit. You don't want to take a whole lot off. You could probably buy this at a someplace like Precision Tool. This isn't very big. I think she's like 6 by 10. It's not going to be that expensive. I'll take it out here. She's heavy too. You know, she's been surface ground and cut. Okay. You want to get a little bit finer than that. When you put them on this side, you can see through the paper the lines that are cut in the block. Lap this down a little bit.
Oh yeah, so nice.
She'll take it
Look
right
how
now.
nice, man.
Yeah, gotta have one of those, right?
You know, Heather's pissed off every time I come home from here. I got a list of tools. This time I want a tranny stand. I want one of these. All right, hey, so keep that in mind the next time you're doing some maintenance or rebuilding on your motorcycle. Remember, for this kind of content, Cycle Source Magazine on YouTube. And until next time, this is Chris with Greasing Gears Garage.
The Law Tigers, America's motorcycle lawyers. We understand the challenges riders face every day. As riders, we want to share the road and be seen by motorists. Remaining visible is critical to our safety and well-being. That's why we work tirelessly to promote motorcycle safety and awareness. We're proud to support our community that includes riders of all stripes. If you've been injured in a motorcycle accident, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. The Law Tigers, America's motorcycle lawyers.
Everything we do at the track shapes what we build for the street and the dirt.
You can see how bad these guys want it. A race to the line.
For us, racing is not for the trophies or the glory. We compete because it makes everything we do faster, more durable, and tested to a higher standard. For S&S, racing is the ultimate in proven performance, and we've been proving it since 1958.
Okay, so welcome back to the Dennis Kirk studio. You're watching Shop Talk, and man, working with Poppy, Mark, I got to tell you.
Learn something every day?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because, you know, I was hip to the whole thing of having a lapping block, but usually they're very big. They're very expensive. And when he brought that out, I was just like, you don't think about it. And he went on to tell me, you know, you can buy them at a bunch of different tool suppliers. You know, it doesn't have to be a great big thing. It's a nice little addition you can tuck in your toolbox.
Yeah.
You make me sound like a monster.
Not a monster.
Well,
You shut up.
Not a monster.
that's
honey.
my job, damn it.
I just, you know.
Yeah, I'm like, you're like, baby, I needed a new tool. I'm like, okay. It's not worth arguing with you anymore because
See?
you're gonna get it one way or another.
I'm just trying to wear you down. That tranny stand. We're gonna talk after the
Hey,
show.
Well, how
better-
much is it?
I don't know, but
And
I
how
have
many transmissions are you gonna do? Are you
If
gonna
I
make
have
money
to
with-
do one more.
What's my ROI?
Hey, better him than me because I don't even tell Dana. I just show up in it and then set it in the dining room for like a
I've
week
had
to
that
look at it.
forever.
Yeah, right. Sits in the dining room for like a week.
So listen,
I'm
March.
going to do that with the next thing I want.
Oh boy.
March marks the 34th annual Donnie Smith show, and if you've never been to this show, like we readily tell people, like this is the show to model all other shows after, because it has a little piece of everything that you go to different shows for. You know, there's a swap meet area, a proper swap meet with good stuff in it. There's a little bit of industry show. There's a little bit of motorcycle show, just regular motorcycle show. It's got all of the best of the worlds wrapped up in it. You know, years past they've had tattoo show parts of the show, and you know, muscle car and hot rod stuff. Like really great time. And how can you beat it? It's where Snoopy comes from.
It's a culture
Right?
show.
You know,
The Peanuts are from there.
Yeah, it's a culture show. I mean, in all
it really
reality,
is. It really is.
It's like the best indoor winter show ever.
Yeah.
But I think the true honor of being there last year was we got to celebrate the 80th birthday of our guest this evening, and that means this year we'll be up there again to celebrate 81 with him. And super excited to talk about his long and storied history in the motorcycle industry. And to help us do that, Mr. Lionel Gammon is going to come on and introduce him. So let's go to the lines and bring our guests. We're going to start with Lionel and get right into this show featuring Donnie Smith.
Just Hanging Out in the Shop is brought to you by Spectral Oils. Made in USA since 1966, the best oil on planet Earth.
Lionel, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, man. So what's going on? You're not in the shop tonight.
Not in the shop. I was freezing, so I've been trying to weld on that barnyard bike like we talked a couple weeks ago, and I froze. It's like 9 degrees. My arms felt great, of course, when you're welding, but my whole body was frozen to the core. So I was like, forget this. We're going in the shop. I'm sitting in what I call my captain's chair because I feel important, even though I'm not when I'm in this chair. But I thought there's no better time than to what we're going to talk about today and who the guest is of the show today, to be sitting in my captain chair.
Absolutely. You know, there's a lot of times that we tell you guys about our relationship with Law Tigers, and how, you know, there's a lot of companies that come in and around motorcycling, and they come in to see if they can get that quick squeeze. You know, they're part of the motorcycle deal, but these guys time and time again are looking for ways that they can support what we're doing in our communities and our culture. And this move with this show is just world class, because this is the kind of thing that provides us with foundation.
And the only reason we do it is because this is the lifestyle we live. You know, there's all those people, like you said, they come in for that quick squeeze. They don't live this way. We all live the same lifestyle. We're the same community. So it's, you know, it just makes sense. You support what you love. You support who you are. You support what you love.
Yes, sir. So, what do you guys have planned for the show this year?
So I got to tell you, I'm absolutely stoked. We as Law Tigers have stepped up, and we are one of the official sponsors of the Donnie Smith Show. And it's been on my bucket list for years to get our company behind the Donnie Smith Show. Not only because everything you guys talked about, but it is truly a culture show. It is the show that the first time I went, I mean, I was blown away at what it was all about. And being as enthusiastic, I mean, we're all motorcycle riders here at Law Tigers. We wanted to support the show. We finally got ourselves an opportunity to do it. And I'm absolutely honored to even be on the same screen with the man, you know, Donnie Smith. I mean, he's a legend for what he's created this motorcycle industry. I mean, I'm on the younger age, but I'll tell you, I had the Easy Rider magazines underneath my mattress, not for what was on the pages, but for who it talked about, what bikes are being built, and what guys like Donnie were doing for our industry. And I'm stoked to be there for the 81st birthday of himself and support his show and support his dynasty. So I am over the moon to even sit here like everybody else who's been talking all week about the show. I'm just going to sit here like a little schoolgirl with a smile on my face, just listening.
Well, you know what, man? Like, seriously, on behalf of all of us, thank you so much. If there was one thing that you guys were going to do this year to support one thing, this is the kind of stuff. If we have a hope of bringing people into this thing and showing them who we are and where the things that are important, this is the kind of thing to make investments like that in. We thank you for that.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. We love doing this. This is what it's all about.
So it's been years and years and years. Like Lionel said, you know, I've been reading the magazines even before I was ever in motorcycle media myself. I was crazy for all this stuff, and watching these guys grow up. Like, you forget, Mark, we've had pretty long conversations the last week getting ready for this.
Yeah.
You forget these guys were doing this stuff before there was a place that you could order stuff to do it with.
Right.
You know what I mean? When Lionel says that they built this industry, this guy that we're having on, he's one of the architects of that.
Oh, most definitely. And we say it all the time, going back to people like Donnie Smith and Dave Pierwitz. We do a lot of paint work, we do a lot of fab work. And to watch these guys, or to know what we do and with the product we have today, and know that they did it back then with no product. I mean, they literally did it with skill, blows you away. These guys are icons, and we've looked up to Donnie Smith and Dave Pierwitz and Arlen Ness for years. And it's an honor, like you had said, to be at the birthday. You guys were at his birthday last year.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be friends with these people and to meet them and find out who they really are. And they live this, so it's cool.
Right on. So listen, without any further ado, I just want to remind you guys, if you have questions, you want to participate in the show, you want to ask Donnie a question, right over here, wherever you're watching from, put your comments in where you're watching. They'll come up there, and we'll get them answered. But for now, please help me welcome the legendary, the one and only, the bishop of the custom motorcycle scene, Mr. Donnie Smith.
Bishop.
That's what Big Brian calls him. I gotta stick that in there for Big Brian.
How you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
So you ready for another birthday party?
Always ready for a party.
Yes.
So 34 years of the show. I mean, obviously we want to start off talking about the show because everybody should be there. But tell me about the early days of the show.
Well, it started out as an old J&P show, and then it was bought by a guy, R&B, out of I think someplace in Wisconsin, and then my partner Neil bought it from them. We've been in it probably over about 17 years, but we kept the years. Now it started out like this is year one,
Yeah.
So, but we started out in a little where it was above where the swap meet is now. There's that floor plan up there, and that's where we started. First or second year, we went there, and then Neil says, we're going to go down here, and he went and showed me what they call a touchstone center as part of the Excel Center. And I'm going, oh boy, because the show hadn't done real well with the other people, but the first year we put it down in the touchstone center, I mean, we were turning bikes away. We had probably 220 some bikes in the show.
Yeah.
And some people just thought you could pull up and drop your bike off and you're going to get in it, and we just didn't have the room, and it ever since then it's done well. It's kind of, with the COVID going down for 2 years, we were down. We came back last year. The show did real well, not probably 100%, but, we were damn happy with where it was, So the show, the people of the metropolitan area here in Minnesota and the surrounding states, they really seem to back us and take care of us, and they make sure the show goes. And it's a good show. I mean, everybody that's been there, we've had just tons and tons of compliments, we're happy with it, and it's a good show. Nobody will be disappointed when they come in that.
No, and I think especially last year, we had some pictures up on the screen of the overhead of the show floor. And last year I sat there and I looked down over the show floor, and even though it was your first year back from COVID, and it wasn't up to what you said is 100%, but compared to the shows that over the years were like the staples in the custom motorcycle thing, man, those things just dwindled and went away. And it just seems like the Donnie Smith show has some quality about it that it's just always going to be rock solid. And I found out what that was last year when Heather and I had the opportunity to catch up with you, and we started to talk about how much community there exists around your business and your town and the motorcycle people in that region of the country. And that show is an extension of that, I believe.
Well, it seems like I've been around a lot of the shops and around the country, and the people in Minnesota get along. Like if I needed a part from another shop, call him. He'd probably say, come over and pick it up and just replace it, or I'll just give it. I'll let you know what it costs. Where some areas I've been to, the shops don't talk to each other. It's like the Hatfields, McCoys. They don't want nothing to do with each other. And Minnesota seems to be the opposite of that. We get along, and the shops get along. I'm not saying we're not a little competitive, but that's just business. But as far as individuals and getting along, like the shop before the one I'm in now, I had a big grand opening party. About 500-600 people showed up from all over the country. Flew in from California. I just thought it was going to be a big local party, but some guys are saying your competition's here, and I said they're my friends. I mean, when I need something, they need something, we help each other out. So I think that's just Minnesota people.
Yeah, that area is definitely super rich with culture and support. Every time we've been up there, we notice Teach Kevin Bass has been putting some posts up. I think a lot of it has to do there is with what you give back to. You open the door for those people, and I think that's big.
Absolutely.
But knowing that, I mean, we've from day one, the Donnie Smith show, that was like the place to go. And then after the first time I was there, which was years ago, like it seems like a lot of shows try and copy yours, but I think that, like you had said, that area has so much culture to it. You can't copy culture and community. That's almost impossible to do.
No. Well, and that's, I mean, one of the strengths that I see in the show is that community, where a lot of people, especially in today's world, what features do they want to have? What's going to draw the people? But really, when you think about it, you guys have had Kevin Bass and before the Kennedy chopper class, and now Kevin, I'm sorry if I forget the name of your new school. I always do that. I got so used to saying the Kennedy chopper class, but he's at a new school now and continues to just bring generations of young people through. And your show really facilitates that because they have a goal. They have a show to be ready for. You help exhibit that. The people with the swap meet stuff, the people that are proud of their builds.
Family rich too. I think a lot of it falls down. There's a lot of fathers, their sons are following in their footsteps, and that's obviously big in that area also, which on top of community, family's an important part of that area, so that's great.
Yeah, Lakeville North is Kevin's school. I apologize for that.
Lakeville.
But is that stuff that you guys actually have discussions about, or are we reading something into that? I mean, it seems like there's goals that you set down to be inclusionary when it comes to community.
The Kevin Bass deal, which is great, and I think the world of Kevin. He's a wonderful man, and he's done a lot, for children or kids, And back in the day, what happened, there was a school north of the cities, and he was at Kennedy, and one of the fathers said, why don't we have a little shootout? Have the kids build against each other. So we kind of started this high school chopper class deal, and they had the two bikes, and they got them done. And it was cool. It was fun. And then it kind of grew for a while. Actually, Reuben Brown, who played for the Bills and played for Chicago as a football player, there's a school he sponsored in New York that kept coming and coming. And I'm going, because what happened, traveling got to be a little expensive for people. And I kept saying, I said something to Reuben. I said, how come you don't come to my show? Well, I send that school, he said. I went, I was really surprised at that. I didn't know the connection. I mean, I know Reuben real well. He happened to be a member of our Hamster group. And we had, there was other teachers that would, when it first got going, they got all excited about it, and they'd call, and I said, well, this isn't just you're going to take a bike and just have it, it's going to build itself. I said, this is going to be like being a coach on a football team or a basketball team. This is taking some extra hours, and that kind of took him out of the picture, but think about Kevin, his thoughts and heart are in the right place. In this other school was for a while, but it kind of just went away, but in turn one time I'm in a town, Hudson, which is just across the river, and this couple come up, they had a boat, and they said, I want to thank you for having that chopper class. He said, if it wouldn't have been for that, my son wouldn't have graduated.
Yeah.
That's what kept him in school.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand with that too. Like you said, it got hard for the one teacher that came out from New York. And I remember him. He was, we got to be good friends with him over the years. it gets hard financially. And even with Kevin, a lot of people don't know that Kevin's backstory, that was happening out of his pocket. Like when he started that, the school told him, if it ever costs us a dime, it's canceled.
Yeah.
You know, and he really put in the time to make that happen, man. That's exemplary.
And look how that benefited him. You know what I mean? In the long run, that panned out. And for me, if it wasn't for Mr. McDowell, who was my power mechanics teacher, if it wasn't for him, I would have never graduated. Well, let me rephrase it. I got kicked out. I graduated outside, but it was him that kept me in school. You know what I mean? I went there because I knew there was a piece of that, you know, I had to make sure I got through English and history and math, because they wouldn't let me go to power mechanics until I did that.
Yeah.
So when it worked, I mean, we've been building for years. And the cool part about it is, once we got old enough to start appreciating it, then we started tripping into things like the Donnie Smith show, Easy Rider shows, Chillicothe. I mean, stuff like that. And it was turned into a lifestyle, which eventually, for some idiot that I know, he made a magazine out of it and sort of killed us the whole way through. So I don't even talk. I don't talk to that guy anymore. So
I have a Kevin Bass story. After, he got into that new school, and I was asking him how that was going for him. And he said the first class of students he got, I don't know how big his class is, like 20 or 30 people. He said, I come in there, and most of them had to take the class, fill up their credits or whatever. And he said, you could tell everybody in there didn't want to be there, but they had to, take the class. So he told them, he said, I'll make a deal with you. You give me 2 weeks. You try and work with me. And if you can't take it, I'll help you get into another class. And he said, I never lost a person.
Yeah.
He said, I got guys welded. They never have a chance to do that. They don't even know how to ask anybody about that, And he said he never lost a person after that. It just grew on that, And that's kind of how his other class was. He said, the principal there said, quit campaigning for students. He says, I'm not campaigning for anybody. They just show up at the door. They want to be part of this class. When they heard it was, he called it his chopper class in Kennedy. That's what the class was called. So the kids want to learn if anybody give them a chance,
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was just going to say. A lot of times once you get your feet wet there, you don't want to stop doing it. Most people like to see that production and then teach. Anybody who's ever hung out with Kevin in the first place, dude, he's one of those people you can spend every day with. Like, he's so much fun. Him and his whole family, Amy and the kids, they're just great freaking people, man. They are. And what he gives back, you couldn't, there's not a money figure you can put on that. No. I mean, he's an amazing guy.
So there's so many comments here, man. Everybody just sending love and gratitude, and John Jessup building a couple bikes for the show.
Cabana Dan says Donnie for president.
Donnie for president.
Yeah. We have
all right. Yeah, I'm all for that.
We have to be very smart to beat what we got.
Right.
Yeah, right. You're not kidding.
Yeah.
Yes, you heard it here.
By the bishop.
That's awesome.
So we have one request here from Cocaine, who said, ask Donnie if he can tell any PG-rated Paul Hiltner swap meet trail stories.
Oh boy.
No, I doubt it.
Here's one that's kind of a clean, and I love Paul. He was a great guy. I felt so bad when that happened. He's telling about his daughter got his driver's license, and he bought her a car. Her and a couple of girlfriends are out in the country, and they're speeding down the road. They meet a sheriff, and so they pull into a farm site, and they pull over behind a building, and they hide. And it's kind of nighttime, and the guy says, I know they're here. They got nowhere to go, So he said, I pulled down the road, and I just sat there, and he said, pretty soon, here the lights come on. They come driving out, and I pull over and I stop them, and he says, you girls are speeding. So he asked for a license, and she gives his license, and he sees her last name, and he goes, Hiltner. Your dad, Paul? Yeah. This is going to hurt, he says. So, I know Paul. It felt really bad when he passed away, but, he was a good guy.
Right on.
So, Don, can you do me a favor and introduce the beautiful lady sitting next to you? We keep seeing her head come in every now and then.
And I'm trying to keep my head out
You're
of here.
No, come
This is my
on.
partner Don.
Hi.
You know, we've been together for
25, almost 25 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I wherever there's Donnie, there's Don. So it's always
Absolutely.
It's always nice
Yep.
to see you, and
Absolutely.
it's so great to see you guys together, and you ride together too, which I
We
absolutely
do.
love.
Yeah. I've had a ground up custom since 2000.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. So I want to go way back, Donnie. What was your first motorcycle?
63 Triumph T120 Bonneville.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I customized it the next year. Only rode a little bit. My beginning is drag racing. You know, we got down here, I was into cars and stuff like that. Got involved in drag racing. I was building a motor for what they called gassers back in them days, which ended up being a 40 Willis. And I needed money to finish the motor, so I sold a bike and finished the motor. And then I ended up buying a Sportster from my uncle that worked on bikes, you know. And so then I had a partner in this gasser, and we went racing with a 40 Willis, and it had a tendency to do a lot of wheel stand. And then I broke a spring going through the lights at about 120 and flipped it. So that car was gone. So then we built another one. Actually, we built kind of two other ones. I took the drivetrain out of that one, bought another Willys, and my brother and another guy got partners with that. And then me and my partner built a Willys pickup. We went from, the first one was a B gas supercharged. Second one was an A gas supercharged. And the last one, we ran 938, 153 miles an hour in 66.
Nice.
So
And
that was
drafted for a couple of years.
I'm
We
sorry.
Come
go
back
ahead.
and got into funny cars.
That was a big question because I was talking to Big Brian about stuff, and that was, you know, he's absolutely one of your biggest fans in the world, and he passed on some pictures. He said, "Hey man, make sure you talk to him about the drag race and stuff." And he was telling me about the Willis, and he didn't know if that chassis and the driveline and stuff ended up moving through the other cars or what happened with that. But he was talking about that being the first one. But this was you guys, and I mean that's like, dude, that thing
it's
is
a real deal.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, we built that car. The guy standing is guy Bob Fetro, who was part of Smith Brothers and Fetro. He was, you know, he used to build his own top fuel cars back in the day of the front engine cars. And when I got drafted in 68, got out in the fall of 69, and then gases were done, funny cars were in, so we built that funny car, and we ran that one for 2 years, and then we ran a Mustang for 2 years. And what happened there, we started getting into the bike thing, you know, and I mean, I rode, but we weren't so much building or anything like that. And my uncle brought a bike over, and we're going to have it. He had an AE and E Springer, and he wanted us to rake the frame. We're three farm kids. To us, a rake is something you pull behind a tractor. And so we go, no, he said, you cut this and angle it, and you know, I can put that fork on there. So Fetro's really a very good welder and a fabricator. I learned a lot from him. And so we got it fabbed up, and he belonged to a club in town, and pretty soon we started getting their frames in, and then finally me and my brother are happy as the two of us are kneeling there. We thought, well, hell, we're going to rake our bikes, you know, and then the word got out, and pretty soon we're going on that. We're, you know, trying to work in this funny car. And finally we were taking so much money, and we finally had to get an accountant. It wasn't all cash, it was for a while. And finally he said, you know, if you got rid of that race car, you could, got into bikes, you can make a living off them bikes. And I said, but we're racers. He said, no, now you're bike builders. Here we are.
So that was something we definitely wanted to talk about was the evolution of SBF and some of the killer products that you guys had, like just what you're saying, 3 farm kids figuring this stuff out. But seriously, what I mentioned in the beginning of the show, there wasn't a whole lot of choices. You guys, between you and Pirowitz and Ness and some of these guys, like you were laying down the foundation of everything that we would do for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
David and I met in 78 at Arlen's. Arlen invited us both out there. Now, I hadn't met Arlen. I think about that. I met him one time in St. Paul, but I hadn't met David. I indirectly met him at a show called Detroit. I think that was about 75 or 74. I bought a belt buckle from him, which I still have. And of course, he wouldn't give me a deal. But anyway.
So some things just don't ever change. Is that what
Yeah, they know it. Yeah. And so Arlen in 78 invited me out there for 2 weeks and invited David out there for 2 weeks and a couple other guys. Barry Cooney was there. Arlen and Barry had been friends for a little while. I think, anyway, we stayed at Arlen's house, and that's when I met David. And David and I, after about 4 or 5 days, it's like we knew each other for 20 years. We really hooked up. And we were helping Arlen build the Too Bad bike. He had it together to a point, and we ended up taking most of it apart and correcting a lot of things, small things, But instead, we're supposed to go up to Reno. He was going to have bikes for us. And we ended up working on it, and we didn't care. I mean, we were having a good time, and I think that's how Arlen and David and myself became really good friends. Like I say, there was other people there, but that's we were kind of the builders at the point. Of course, Arlen, Arlen is Arlen. There's no, you don't have to explain. Miss him a lot. Really, that was a hard one on me to lose him, but. That's, we got it running, and he wrote it in the Oakland Road show, and then there's a picture of me and David standing by that bike. It's a black and white picture. That was at that show. That's, that David and I was standing there, and he was getting ready. And I mean, we had that picture taken, and I think he jumped in the car, and they took him to the airport, and he flew out at that time. And I left, that one there, and I left the next day.
Is that the bike?
No, that's not the bike. That was one of somebody else's bike, one of Arlen's friends and customers, But,
that motorcycle, Too Bad, seriously, one of my favorite motorcycles of all time. Like that was
there. It is.
That thing was just from a whole other world, man.
Yeah, another planet.
Yep.
So now,
typical of bikers, buy stuff at the swap meet. So he bought the blower at a swap meet, and he bought the carburetors at a swap meet. Of course, they were car carburetors and not, bike ones. They needed a fuel pump. And so we had to change that, and we're having stuff sent in. And the blower, at that time, I'd been running funny cars and blowing cars, so I knew a little bit about blowers. So I had to rebuild the blower. It had some tight spots, so I got that all squared away for him. So, and it just, we worked together. He was kind of feeling bad, and we just go, hey, let's get her done. That's what, and so that really kind of, I think, made us we gelled a lot in that time, and
It was 78.
yeah, then we all went to Daytona and started the Hamsters.
Right.
Well,
Yes.
and that's I had a conversation with somebody today, and we were talking about the fact that and this is to your credit, and I know you're a humble man, and I know that you're not the kind of person to take this kind of praise, but seriously, one of the best things about what people talk about that time and what you guys were doing, you were literally building the foundation of custom motorcycling, but it was only because this is what you guys were doing. You were having fun doing what you were doing, being who you were. You weren't trying to, I mean, thank God that, there was no Instagram then or anything either, but you really weren't concerned with any of that. And that's the one common thing, Donnie, that people say about you time and time again is that throughout your life, you love motorcycles, you love doing custom bikes, and you love this culture, and those are the things that are most important to you. The notoriety and everything that might come or might not come with that doesn't even matter.
You know, I guess, you know, once I got into the bike crowd, you know, I've never wanted to ever, you know, I don't want this to go the wrong way, but I never was much of a joiner and belonging to clubs and stuff, you know. And when the Hamster kind of come together, we really kind of thought it was going to be like a 1 or 2 year deal, and then it would kind of go away. And so when I don't know, you probably heard David tell you the story about when we went to a magazine hospitality deal, and some of the guys didn't want to go, and David's girlfriend at the time, or fiance, didn't want to go. So we were supposed to come back and get him after this deal was over. We kind of forgot about that part. Went bar hopping. And so when we come back, there was these plates on our doors, you know, like I was a Midwest Hamster, and, you know, David was a Northeast Hamster, and Barry was a Northwest Hamster. He was from Portland. And then Arlen was the West Coast, and Ed Kerr was an East Coast, you know, deal. And it was, you know, and that was all on the plate, and nobody thought to save a plate.
Oh my goodness!
You know,
no
I mean,
way.
You know, yeah, you know, I know that I know I threw mine. I remember throwing it in a suitcase, but after that, you know, it just never survived the moves and stuff like that.
There's been rumors of a saved plate, but we've never seen it.
Now this year is 45 years for the Hamsters. You said 1978.
Yep, this will be 45 this March. This coming March.
Yeah. And
because it started in Daytona.
Right.
You know, I mean, of course, I just said that. And Mystic Sea, I think, was the little motel.
Is it gone?
It's gone. Yeah, it's gone. It's but they must not have known who we were, you know. So.
Right. And it's a historical site.
Yeah, there you go. And but it, you know, it kind of, you know, the first 2 or 3 years, then it kind of slowed down, you know, things that kind of taken a hiccup. And then in about 89, when the bikes started coming back and Harley started making a big move and all this and that, that's when it started growing. And it, you know, it's been going ever since. You know, we do our Monday night deal, which I believe you folks are at that, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you come
yes,
to
sir.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean,
they were there last year.
Yeah, we
Yes,
get
sir.
600-700 people, so I don't know them all. I mean, I don't know who's all there, but, you know, oddly enough, the last 2 years we've donated over $500,000 each year to Lifescape.
Isn't that amazing?
You know, it's for youth that have issues and problems and stuff like that, and so we're really very, very proud of that. You know, it's the first time we went. I mean, we usually were doing between 250 to 300,000. You know, that was, and then all once the announced it was like, I think it was 515,000. You know, like $500,000, and I'm going like, you got to be joking. I mean, this is, you know, like Arlen always said about the Hamsters, he called it a joke, and he would. At first, I didn't care for that, but then I'm going, well, he's right. It was a joke. You know, we were, you know, just fooling around, you know, and I made the first shirt I think I made 3 dozen shirts, took them to Sturgis, and most all the guys, you know, Arlen was there, David was there, and a bunch of guys, and if you just, you know, we never even thought about being custom bikes. I mean, we had custom bikes, and some of the guys that were staying in City Park in Sturgis, and we, you know, just kind of handed them out. I think they were like $3-4 a piece, and again, the guy I gave the artwork to at the printing shop, I never even saved the artwork. You know? Kind of forgot about it, you know, and then when we closed our shop, he kind of, shortly after that, he closed his business up, and it just went by the wayside, you know, and that's not, I didn't think it would go as long as it has. And it's become, I'm very, very proud of everybody that belongs to it. There's some good people. I mean, the whole motorcycle people, when it comes to being, when there's cancer, sicknesses or something, there ain't anybody more generous than bikers.
Amen.
I mean, not only us like the Hamsters, I mean, overall, bikers take care of each other and
other people.
And other
Yep.
people. They really.
They step up more than anybody else.
Yeah.
It's
when we
really-
tell them what we
Go ahead,
tell
Donnie,
some
I'm sorry.
individuals that do that, they look at us like we're crazy. Like we had was at I don't know, it was some kind of a get together on a Sunday at this bar that I frequent. That amazed you, I'm sure. But anyway, they were donating $500 to the Hamsters, and I was just pulling in the parking lot, so I go in and get up on stage, and I thank the people. They got something they call Dirty Rotten Biker. It's like a Sunday deal, but they do pretty good at it. It's kind of fun. But anyway, I get in and I, kind of give my little story about, the Hamsters and that. And I said, at that time, we'd given I think about $200,000 to that. And $500,000 we'd already given to them. And all I walked up and this guy, where are you guys from? And I said, all over the world. We got people in, Italy. We got people in Luxembourg, Germany. We've had people in Africa, Canada, which is kind of like America, but
but not really.
Sort of.
Yeah, I heard a joke. If you're from Canada.
No, you don't tell that joke, Donnie. Don't.
Go ahead. Come on.
No.
You have to now.
No, he doesn't know.
I would, so you should.
Okay.
No.
Two guys are talking. It ain't dirty.
It's good. Go ahead. I'll take the heat.
And there you go. And one guy says, I got some new neighbors moved in and they're really noisy. And he says, now you know how the Canadians feel.
We'll keep it at that.
That was a joke.
No, it was great.
How
anyway,
how did it come to be that you guys did so much charity work over the years? What started that?
Bob Illingworth,
Yeah,
actually.
There was a deal that a friend of ours, Bob Ellingworth, who was our lobbyist, who was kind of, and back in the day, I think everybody knew him around the country because he was really good at what he did. And he's the only person of America that got hired to the super rally that they had in Europe, probably 25, 30 years ago. But anyway, there was a deal called Kids in Chrome that started in Sturgis. And what happened, that a guy named Brian Bondi was a person that was Children's Care was the name of the clinic or hospital that they dealt with. And nobody was protecting the name. So he went and, kind of registered the name. Well, somebody found out about it and they had a big blow up about, well, I'm the one that thought of the name and I thought of the name and he had the brains to protect it, and now they're going to sue for it. And finally, he just said, "You know what? You can have it." And we were already, as the Hamster group, we're already giving them some money, maybe like $70,000 or something. In our Monday night deal, we take a collection up, and so then finally we just said, "Why don't we do our own thing?" So that's where it came from. Kind of grew out of that.
That's awesome. I'll tell you what, for the past couple of years, Chris and I have been at that Monday night deal. And it is such an amazing feeling in that room to be with all those people when they'll do, they did the NASCAR truck.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, everybody, if you can meet this donation to wrap the truck, we're going to double it. And watching that energy of everybody
Fever
just going
pitch.
up and giving what they had in their pocket. And it didn't matter if it was $10, $20, or $5,000. The gratitude in that room was so incredible and such an amazing feeling to witness.
And I got to
It's
tell you something
unbelievable.
too. For people out there that aren't familiar with this group, I've known a bunch of you guys forever, and thank God, that this is based in community, because a kid without a high school diploma, you guys all took me in under your wing, and you saw that I love motorcycles, and I did this from an honest place. And you've always taken care of me, but there's even more community behind that. The things that Heather and I, we've gone all over the country this year, spending a lot of time with Hamster members, and like the amount of community there, that's crazy. So that Monday night dinner, like, it's not about people trying to show each other up with how much money or anything else. It's that bond, you know, everybody doing that good stuff, and it's one big family, you know, doing all that good work together.
And I also think sometimes it is them trying to show each other up, but it's pushing them because they know it's a good cause. You know, they're doing it not only as a joke to each other, but
you're just trying to find a way to work Kiefer's go-kart into this, aren't you?
Kiefer? Yeah. It's either Kiefer or Big Rick, one or the other. I'm trying to figure out which one it is. But yeah, it's cool because, like Chris said, some of our, and again, you know, I mean, Big Rick is such a good friend, and you know, he always is one that anytime anything's going on, he's like, dude, you gotta come hang out, you know. And it's been one of the people that have pulled us into that, you know, as we all call it, the yellow shirt community, because I mean that's what it pretty much is, you know, a bunch of good
kind
guys.
of an equalizer.
Yeah, right.
You know, I have to say that, you know, the hamster community, you know, everyone is so generous. And I don't know when they decided, but a few years back, they decided, you know what? Okay, so everybody has their charity. Each and every hamster has their charity, and they still do. They still have their own charity, but hamsters as a group, if you want to engage the rest of the group into it, we're gonna put our sources into one particular, you know, area, one particular group, and they chose, you know, the children's care to do that with, and it's incredible. So that's why there's such a frenzy on Monday nights. It's like, here are all these giving people, and now is their time that they can give, and they all just go for it. I mean, it's huge. It's incredible. And I get so excited just to do art and just to do things, you know, for that particular auction.
That's what I dig.
Excited about.
I dig seeing all the creations, because like there's people that will just go absolutely full out making stuff, custom stuff, and the only other people that can have it is
other hamsters.
Yeah, it's not like it can enter the general market.
It's like,
you know,
son of a biscuit.
It's what we live for. We live to do that. We do. It's like, oh my God. Okay, so what did they make in this year? Well, okay, so here's where the competition comes in.
I just wish that they'd come up with ideas sooner so that people didn't call me to have me paint stuff at the last.
Hey, that was Ricky. You don't blame that on me.
One of the things that I like is around the country, you'll have these smaller events. Like you have the fall foliage run and the dry heat run, and at each one they have their own charity that they work with or that they support, whether it be a hamster that was just taken ill or lost their house to a fire, or an animal shelter, or, you know, like we were fortunate enough at Smokeout last year to have the hamsters support our Tankful project for Meals on Wheels. But I just love that wherever you go, whenever there's a big event, there is some charity that is supported, whether it be Lifescape or a local charity. It's been so great about giving and watching that happen.
Yes, sir. So Curtis Hoffman just said I brought an oil painting
a couple years ago,
2 years ago, and he has it hanging in his office. He said I got that and I'm going to hang it in my office. And I was like, oh, I said, listen, man, thanks for getting it. But he actually has it hanging in his office. That's awesome. So let's go back and talk about the show a little bit more, because it's coming up quick. Like I said, you know, pictures. This doesn't look like the show's numbers are off at all. And what's amazing, man, the amount of people that just wait for the opportunity to walk up and shake your hand and talk to you and tell you about the stuff that they remember, and the, you know, like people absolutely adore you, man.
They do. They absolutely adore this man.
Yep.
You know, I got a guy that, I don't know how many years he's been doing this, but he's got an original Smith Brothers and Fetro t-shirt he wears. And he's a pretty stocky built guy. And this thing is like it's painted onto him, and it's so thin that you can almost see through it. And he said, the only time I wear this is when you're show and I come down here just to shake your hand with this shirt on.
Oh.
And I'm going. He says, I got to have somebody help me put it on so it doesn't rip.
Oh, God.
Sounds like you need to make a limited edition of those shirts.
A new one.
Right?
Well, an original. This is an original.
Yeah.
Tom Summers has done kind of a little business where he knocks off, not knocks off, he has our permission, but he makes shirts like that, but it ain't an original. It's a copy, but this one is an original one that he got back in the 70s. And it fits him like a glove. Boy, I'm sure he goes home and has somebody help him take it off, because it'd be real easy for it to just come undone.
I love how eclectic the show is. When we were there last year, every make, model, shape, size, style, you name it, was so well represented at the Donnie Smith show. It was such a nice treat to see such diversity in the motorcycle community up there.
Yeah.
The thing about the show too, for the Minnesota people is that it's held at the end of March, because in April, the first part of April, possibly absolutely mid-April, we're starting to ride again. And at the end of March, everybody is just like freaking dying for motorcycles. And so we get to go to the Donnie Smith show. And I mean, it is like, okay, it's heaven again. And,
well, winter's up here.
Yeah.
There's no ride unless you go someplace. So they're working on their bikes. So usually, like I know my partner wanted to move it into April so they could ride to the show. And I says, no, you don't want to do that, because they're not going to ride their bike to someplace in town. They're going to head out of town and ride 50, 60 miles out, because the evenings get cold real fast here in the spring. And I said, so we got to keep it just, right at that. Usually that's not nice enough. We've had some days where dates of the show, it was like 75 and 80 degrees. We lost about 1,200 people, we figured.
Oh, last year it was like
because they're riding. They haven't ridden for months.
But they've been locked up for 4 or 5 months.
Oh, yeah.
They ain't gonna go and go inside of a building. They want to go ride.
Like
find
we're
a
locked
destination.
up right now.
Yeah, really we are. Single digit.
Oh my God, yeah, or below zero.
And you're the beginning of the season too. Like that's one of the cool things. Like literally, when everybody says, "Hey, Donnie Smith's coming," that the hot time of the year's. Me and Chris always kid around that. Donnie Smith show meant, Christ, we're going to be killing ourselves for the next 4 months. Yeah. So we knew that once that show was over, the ball started rolling.
Right. For us, it means spring. We can ride.
Yeah.
So, Donnie, we have a question from a viewer. They want to know if you remember the Corvette Castle in Daytona and walking around with the twins. If that rings a bell.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he's allowed to answer that.
Oh.
Crank caller.
No.
Radar, are you getting me in trouble?
Oh,
You're
boy.
fired.
What's going on?
Well, maybe we'll change the
Wait a
subject.
minute, Chris. You sent that question to me to ask. Were you setting me up?
No,
you set me up.
Sort of. He wanted me to ask. I told him to let Heather do it.
Hey, just in case it was a landmine, the pretty girl has a better chance than these two idiots on both sides of you. Really? We're not getting away with anything.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So listen, man, I want you to kind of look back with us here for a minute and think about the time in and around pictures like this and what you guys were going through and what was happening in motorcycling. Did you ever imagine that the stuff that you were doing, that they were literally going to write books about and people were going to follow as a roadmap for how this culture came to be?
No, that was far beyond me. I come from a little town of about 250 people. I grew up on a farm, and I never ever thought that I would ever be, like, for any other word, famous like that in building. I always was artistic. I could draw, not artistic, but anyway.
Autistic. He's always been autistic.
Yeah. But I got into, well, I told you about my uncle and raking his frame, and I got into building, the first bike I did was kind of, mediocre. And then after that, of course, Street Chopper come out, and then Easy Rider come out, all about the same time, about 69 was, that's when them magazines started hitting it. And then, of course, there was many other ones that got involved. But Street Chopper was kind of, a guy named Bob Clark was running it, and he kind of hooked up with me and Sturgis, I think it's 76. And, he was looking for somebody that was a builder up there, and everybody kept steering him towards me. And finally we hooked up, and I'm kind of like honored that, he said, no, it's the other way around. We're honored to know you because people like you are going to make our magazine. So we got to be good friends, and he kind of did the same thing with David. He wanted to have bikes that weren't off the West Coast. It's easy to go to the West Coast. He said, you walk out in the parking lot and there sit something, But he said he wanted to have a magazine that kind of went all the way across the country. And so that's how he hooked up with us and David. And Arlen was there, but Arlen had hooked up with a guy named Larry Comferman, who rode a Volkswagen trike. He had lost a leg in some kind of an accident, but that guy ran everything that Arlen built. I mean, and it was obviously, it almost looked like it was Arlen's magazine. But them are the people that helped us. They put us on the map. And like Bob Clark would come up to Minnesota like once a year. I'd see him in Sturgis, see him in Daytona. Try to have something new, and that just kind of what helped us get where we are.
So that last picture, that was a good one.
Yeah,
that was a good picture.
I wanted to talk about that for a minute because boy,
yeah.
look at those two handsome young men there.
I wanted to talk about it with Heather for a moment. Don't you think that Donnie Smith kind of looks like Jim Morrison back in the day? I mean, I've always thought that.
I think you're right.
Hot back in the day. Look at that.
Well, I'm sorry, Don. I can't say Donnie's hot. I do notice that he still has fabulous hair, though.
and his hair was perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Just so you know, Dave and Laura are watching. Both of them are so excited to see you and so excited to be a part of this. And I love that you call him David, by the way. Yeah. I think that's great.
And what? You call him David?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's his name.
I know everybody calls him David. It's so formal. You call him David. I love it.
Yeah.
And Cabana Dan wants to let you know that your Pandemonium bike, Donnie, is the reason he started building customs.
Well, that bike is in the museum in Sturgis, but it's coming home. And there's another bike that you showed, kind of a yellow one with flames on it. That one's in the garage. I'm getting that one ready to take its place out there. And we're going to probably do that, swap it. They're going to bring it back for our show. And then we'll have actually both of them bikes at the show at the same time. The only other time it was like that, they were sitting in my garage.
Right
That's
on.
awesome.
And, that one's been out there for quite a few years.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I know about that.
Just imagine all of the parents.
Pandemonium's never been there.
Just imagine all the parents that you pissed off because their kids decided to build bikes for a living. I mean, I know my mom hated you, so just to let you know. No, just a joke. That you inspired so many of us.
They could have been into a lot worse things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, you're not kidding.
Like right behind Donnie's bike. That would have been worse.
Yeah. I mean, just like me and Chris were saying, we sit back now and, doing some of the paint work and, 30 years, I also feel the difference between, the product that you have to paint with now compared to back then. But we're talking back in the late 60s, you guys were doing it, and the technology was all mental, it was all brain, it was all knowledge, trial and error, and, can't even imagine how hard it was to do some of that stuff.
Now you got a product card to follow.
Yeah,
you
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
There was no product card with what they were doing.
Like it's amazing. I still to this day, is I'm painting something or laying something out, Chris obviously is the art end of all that. just think, and I say it every time, like, dude, how did those guys do it back then? Which I know they messed up, they ripped it off and started from square one. That's how they did it.
But I remember John Kosmowski's from Minneapolis.
Oh yeah. John is a very good friend of ours, and John is always happy to share, anything that he knows, and it's, imagine that. Imagine. I just can't even imagine, like these guys and they had John, they had all of these guys, and everybody worked together. It was incredible, an incredible time.
I actually have a killer interview with John from last year's show. We're getting ready to run a bunch of YouTube and Instagram posts and stuff for this year's show, and one of them is the interview with him, and he was talking about how they got started, and that even the people within his company, when he was like, hey, we're gonna do these custom colors and we're gonna do this, and they were like, no, you can't do it that way. And he goes, yeah, he said, I started this to make stuff for painters. That's what I'm gonna do. And like that was great, because you don't have, in our generation even, you don't have people that run companies for the benefit of the thing itself anymore.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
The story of one of our friends used to work for General Motors in Janesville, where they build the Suburbans, and he was kind of the final inspector, the paint guy. And he said, so the guy from PPG, he knew the guy, and the guy told him, he said, we're going to bring out these magnificent colors, and we're going to take over that custom paint thing. And he said, so they introduced it and they presented it, and they said, we thought we had, the finest paint and everything out. And he said, some little guy up in Minneapolis is kicking our ass. He said, and they go, we can do it. We're the big guys, So then they did an ad campaign, and they said, our paint is better than House of Colors paint. That's John's business. And he goes, God, he said, I said, they got a lot of nerve. And he said it was the best thing ever happened because so many people didn't know who he was.
Right.
And that PPG was worried. Now they're going to look into find out who John was.
Right.
That's one
they
of the
found out that they weren't better.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest things that I like about going to the Donnie Smith show is people like John Kosmowski,
just standing right there,
Donnie
yeah.
and Dave and Brian Klock and Curtis Hoffman. They're all available for people to talk to. And it's not often that you get, and so many others too, are available to talk to and ask questions of, and it's not often you get that opportunity. The general public gets that opportunity to have all those people in the same space.
Yep. Very cool.
And they're artists that will actually share
yes.
too. Because I come across that all the time where, you ask an artist this or that and they're not sharing, but I mean, like someone like John, someone like Donnie, they share immediately. It's like it's not a secret.
Yeah, and I've found that to be a common theme with the more of the guys that I meet with those yellow shirts on. Yeah. There's really the whole thing is just based in the passion for custom motorcycles
and community.
That's what they love.
I think in motorcycling all around. I mean, not saying not just Hamsters, but like in this whole motorcycling community custom world, that's a big part of it. I think, like Donnie had said before about how they're the first ones to jump in and help. They are. I mean, even when it comes down to, a person broke down a road, all the way down to having a problem in your shop. I mean, we know multiple people. We have an issue. Sometimes your phone's your best tool. You pick up and call somebody and ask a question, and it's shocking how many times you don't have an issue. They just answer your question for you, which
unless
is
it's
great.
Me calling you.
Well, right. I just don't answer the phone. That's a whole different story. So, after all these years, I've learned not to answer the phone. It incriminates me. So, man. It's a great group to be involved with. So, and glad that for all these years we've been involved in it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's man. Like again, to be a young guy coming up in this when I was still a young guy. And have you guys do as much as you did to include me, like it was always amazing. But even to this day, getting to share this part with you and getting to be part of things like, I got to go on a couple of the ride-ins to Sturgis. Like those things, I don't know how you guys see that anymore, but for us here that have been part of the
In our mirror.
but for those of us that have lined up in Sturgis waiting for the Hamsters to ride in, and see the bikes this year, and to get to go on that ride is amazing. To get to talk to you guys about the stories is amazing. It's still a very big honor.
So
I'm glad
They
you
broke the mold.
yeah, Lionel just said he broke the mold, absolutely. And that I was actually just going to say, Donnie, I know what it takes to put on a show, especially of the magnitude that you do, and I know you can't do it without sponsors. And we've got one of your sponsors here, Lionel from Law Tigers. Lionel, you've been really quiet through all this, and I know it's a lot
I thought
to
we
take.
lost him.
I
know,
did too.
It's so much to take in, and I'm guessing.
I'm taking notes.
Well, I was going to say, I'm guessing you're kind of like
Yeah.
Chris does. Chris, fanboys all the time. So I'm guessing you're kind of do that too. But do you have any questions for Donnie?
No, here's the one thing I want to say is I did say you broke the mold. In the motorcycle industry, Donnie, I give you a credit and all the others we've talked about earlier today, because I was always taught, you never meet your heroes, never meet your idols, because they always let you down.
No.
And my hat is literally off to you, because the first time I met you, it wasn't like that. The first time I met Dave, the first time I met, you can go, the list is huge. But in the motorcycle industry, you guys opened your arms, you opened your hearts, you taught, anybody and everybody. And regardless of how stupid the questions we probably all ask you, because we're like, oh my gosh, it's the opportunity I get to ask him. And you probably answered the same question 1,000 times. You still humor us. You still, indoctrinate us and teach us and show us the right way to go. And I mean, that's where you literally in the motorcycle world, you created this, broke the mold. It is an honor to meet people like you, a legend, and somebody that I've idolized for my whole life. Looking into the motorcycle world is what you have created. So as Law Tigers, I mean, I can't tell you, I'm over the moon. I mean, I literally have a countdown until the show, because I can't wait to be there again and to be taking part of it, and hopefully seeing this take on, for years and years to come, because it's now 34 years. There's no reason why we can't keep this going on for longer.
Well, we're going to try.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I had a lot of compliments about her. So, I think her name was Michelle, used to be part of the Easy Rider. So she's got the broken,
Melissa?
Melissa, yeah.
Yeah, the broken throat.
Melissa.
Yeah. Michelle, is that her name?
Melissa.
Melissa?
No.
No?
Well, anyway, her and John Green run the Easy Rider shows.
Yeah,
And she said-
that's Melissa Penland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and first time I had met her, and we come riding in. Actually, was at David's paint show. I was there, and so she come over and was talking to me. She said, I know about you. I've never really ever met you. He says, I wanted to compliment you on your show. Our goal was to have a better show than you had, and we never did.
Nice.
I thought, wow,
Those are some
because
pretty
we
big
hear all the
words.
stories about Easy Rider, and everybody exaggerates a little bit, but they tell us, they had these crazy numbers, and we go, we couldn't put that many people in this show, I mean, it would we'd have to have another day or something, but then we found out that wasn't right. But I thought that was quite very nice.
And that's saying something too, because John Green
was a
he
man.
He was one of our brothers.
Yes,
and
he was.
I mean, like, he was soul to the earth just like that. He did it because he loved this community, loved the people,
Yep.
and he worked his ass off, him and Melissa both, so I mean, just for the respect to admit to you guys that's what I say all the time. You want to pull something off good, like, shoot for that show. Try to be like that show because of the community, because you're in the inclusionary aspects of it. That's the show. You set the pace with that.
But wouldn't you want every other show to be like that?
Yes.
Too?
I mean, you would. I mean, that's what you angle for, not to be identical.
If they tried it from their own regions with their own communities and everything, I believe it would bring us up.
Big.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd be saying that you want it to be exact like that, because I kid around. We judge shows, judge bikes and shows, and I say all the time, one of my judging tactics is Jeff Cochran's one of my favorite builders, and his cleanliness and his flow and all that stuff. I'll angle that way. What's the same way with the show? Sure, you don't want it to be just like the Donnie Smith show, but you've set such a great footprint that you want to try and base yourself off of that footprint. It appeals to everybody, and that's what you want. I think that's what makes it such a good show.
You hit so many nails. I mean, for me, I'm on the west side. I'm out west here in Utah. So to know of the Donnie Smith show and what you've done, I mean, I'm looking forward to bringing my kids, because I've got boys that are interested in the riding, and they're riding their dirt bikes and they want to customize it and build onto it now. But it's one of those shows that I know I can bring my boys to.
You can bring your kids to the show.
I can start that first stages with them the right way. They can actually see where this has come from, where it's going, and if they want to be a part of it, great. If they don't, that whatever. But it's a show that I hate to say it's safe space or a family show, but it offers that opportunity if you want to bring that next generation. If we don't cultivate the next generation, we're not going to last. Everybody always says that kind of thing. And I think the Donnie Smith show gives us that platform to do it as well.
It does, but it doesn't lose anything.
You're right. You don't miss out on anything.
Right.
It's still a great show, whether you're walking around with a 9-year-old or heaven, Donnie, I'm walking around with you at 81. I mean, you can really enjoy the show regardless of where you fall on that gamut.
Right on. Well, listen, mark your calendars. March 25th and 26th for the 34th annual Donnie Smith show. And Donnie, this show was really like we wanted an opportunity to celebrate your time in custom motorcycle and what you've done. And like I said, knowing that you are the humble man that you are, how you're going to take this praise from all of us, but it's filling up the message board here. Like, people are they want to make sure that how much you mean to all of us, to custom motorcycle, and that we're so fully aware that the thing that we've all done for our entire life, the obsession that we've had with beautiful motorcycles and that idea of making the perfect motorcycle, that was because of you, my man.
Yeah.
You and a couple guys that did your own thing and set the tone for that. And because of that, we want to have a drink in your honor. We're going to give this toast to Donnie. Now, wait a minute. Not just a drink. We know how you like it, so...
Oh, yes.
Right there. So this one's for you, baby.
Hilarious. Oh, my
All right.
And thank you for being on with us, man. And we can't wait to spend some time with you at the show this year.
We'll be looking forward to it. Glad you're showing up. So...
Wouldn't miss it.
Absolutely.
All right, Lionel, again, thank you, and Law Tigers for keeping this strong for all of us. And
Say
Donnie,
hi to Ari.
yes, sir.
Yeah, I will.
Everything that you do, Donnie, thank you so much for being the man that you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the
Thank you
inspiration.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate everything.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
All right, hey guys, you're watching Shop Talk here on Sunday night. Every Sunday we go live from the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio. We got some more show left, but right now we're
Hell, you might as well shut it down. It don't get no better than that.
Right, I know. How do you follow that? How do you follow that? We're gonna
pull the plug.
We're gonna check out a cool feature bike. When we come back on the other side, we're gonna wrap this one up, put it back in the station, but don't go anywhere. You're watching Shop Talk.
Out of Focus is brought to you by Garage Build. Submit your build, share your passion. Powered by Dennis Kirk.
Wayne Phillips, Dearborn Heights, Michigan. It's an Evo chopper 5-speed. It's kind of my beater. But it's kind of just the way I bought it, except for it had up sweeps and it had sissy bar that was like this tall. I bought it off a guy named Mark up in Roseville. And kind of changed the seat and the back fender and a couple other things. I bought that from TC Brothers. Bought that because he had a chrome one on there and it was short. And it was just, the welds on it, it was just nasty. There's holes drilled all in it and had a king queen seat on it. You know, like I said, come up about that high and I couldn't stand that either. I got another motor at home that I'm building for it. I ride it quite a bit, but I like it, it's fun. I started getting the original ones and I found out how much they were worth and I was buying and selling them on eBay. And as soon as they started repopping them, man, the price dropped down on them, so I just bought a bunch of repop ones. Pretty much all my choppers and bobbers got those on it. I like Avon Speedmasters too, always up in the front. And I bought a 73 Super Glide when I was 20. And I still got it. I got like 9 bikes right now. 95 Bad Boy, 98 Police Bike, 2 Softails that are bobbed out. They cut the struts off and made it look rigid frame in the back. 2 shovelhead choppers. Got a bunch of parts to build another one. I just ain't decided which way to go with it yet. But it's a rigid frame. I'm Wayne Phillips from Dearborn Heights, and you're watching Shop Talk.
Whoops.
What was that?
Magazine, and I'm here. I'm at the Dennis Kirk warehouse. Over 160,000 items in this room. You guys hear me say it all the time. Last minute in the garage, waiting to get that part you need. This is where it comes from. Check them out today, DennisKirk.com.
Bikers Info USA, the first bikers app by bikers, for bikers, and it's free. National and state events, Sturgis and Daytona, Bikers Info USA. Every motorcycle manufacturer dealer listed. Biker products for you and your bike. Bikers Info USA. Find the places to go, places to party, places to stay at every event. Bikers Info USA. Download it now. It's free. Bikers Info USA.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Creepy.
Hey, so only one perfect man ever, Heather. And he didn't have to work all this shit at one time. So
I just like this view.
yeah. You know.
Oh, come on.
I do the best I can. That's all I
You're
can say.
awesome.
So what a killer show.
I know, so good.
We should have just did what Mark said. Like once Donnie was off the air, pulled the plug and said, "Yeah, that's it."
You're out.
Oh, I
Mic
know,
drop.
like mic drop.
That's
yeah, you
it.
can't follow Donnie. That's awesome.
So, but we appreciate you guys hanging in with us. We're gonna wrap this one up because it's been a long day.
Can I do a quick shameless plug?
Yes, you can, absolutely.
Shameless or shameless?
Shameless. So I have been invited by Athena, Miss Athena Ransom, Vagabond Choppers, to be a guest on her show tomorrow night, Athena After Dark.
Did you put the link up?
I'm getting there. And this is going to be a first for me. Usually I'm interviewing with Chris. And I get away with letting him do all the talking, but tomorrow night it's going to be a little get to know me session.
How are you going to get her in and out of that room with that big head?
No,
dude. Listen, I'm looking for a little girl on girl. Never mind.
Christopher
I know.
Lewis.
I know.
Oh,
Your mother
Lord.
watches this show.
God, you had to go there.
Anyway, I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be interesting. She sent me a list of questions that I'm not looking at because I want to be surprised so I can give off the cuff questions.
Hey,
but if you want to tune in, I threw a link
Well, I want to
up.
plug something too. I'm not doing anything. Don't call me and leave me the hell alone. Did I say that out loud?
Listen, and I don't know why you're angry with me. There's 2 chicks in their pajamas late at night.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
There's no guy watching this show that didn't have a thought go through their head the same as me.
I'll need a little pillow fight.
Right? Maybe a tickle battle.
Hey.
Accidentally, things happen.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. Now I don't want to do the show.
Oh, hell, I don't even know what you're kidding. I might watch now, for Christ's sake.
Robin, this one's for you.
Son of a biscuit eater.
I'm just
Son
thinking.
Of a biscuit eating monkey.
Wait.
No, boy.
Shao Wing.
Swing.
I should have known better.
All right, man. Listen, thank you guys so much for watching. Do us the favor of passing this on to your friends and neighbors. Hit the share button. Put it out everywhere. Make sure you're subscribed to the Psychosource Magazine YouTube channel because we're doing tons and tons and tons of new stuff out there. All of this Panhead series that I've been doing with Steve Broyles is killing.
Hammy was cheersing us when we were cheersing Donnie.
Aw.
Hammy. Sorry.
But, make sure you catch us here every Sunday, 9 p.m., live from the Dennis Kirk Motorcycle Studio. As long
Next
as they
week,
keep
Leah
leaving.
Whaley, Sturgis Motorcycle Museum.
Yeah, how about that?
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Get
We're going to
the
be talking about
inductees.
2023.
Yes, we get the inside
class
track,
of
baby.
2023.
Get the inside
Looking forward
track.
to that.
We get to find out who is getting inducted. And this year, Mark, we get to see
I
our
vote
brick.
Snoopy.
What?
We get our brick in Sturgis
right.
this year.
Right?
Yep.
Cycle Source got a brick on Main Street in Sturgis, and we're going to go and take pictures of it this year, and we're pretty excited. So, until next week, be kind, get out in the motorcycle, or get out in the garage and do something with your motorcycle.
Get out in the motorcycle.
Get out in the motorcycle. If you can't, listen, I'm
Get
still
out
trying
of the
to,
damn motorcycle.
I'm still trying to get over the guy saying that he was riding all day. I'm pissed.
Nah, whatever.
Maybe next week we'll do some events and shit. Like for tonight, we're done. Till next week, same chopper time.
Same chopper channel.
Good night, Felicia.
What a show. What a show. We'd like to thank our sponsors for their continued support, and we hope you pay them a visit when you're in the market for great motorcycle parts, products, and events. S&S Cycle, Makuni American, Baco Parts, The Broken Spoke Saloon, Twisted Tea, The Iron Horse Saloon, High Seas Rally, Twisted Choppers, Twin Power, Drag Specialties, Geico, Law Tigers, Tech Cycle, Fueling Parts, Lone Star Rally, Hijinks Apparel, Progressive Insurance, Spectral Oil, No School Choppers,